Hello guys, this is Doronsmovies and welcome to my very first DayZ Standalone video. So today I have 20 tips that could be useful for people that just started the game or even people that know enough about the game but could still use some fillers. Alright, so let's start. Tip number 1. When you start, make sure to look for water bottles and canteens. They can be used to get hydrated, and whenever you're close to a well, make sure you fill all of the bottles up. In order to do that, you have to drag the bottle into your hands, point at the water pump, and when you get the text drink, use your mouse scroll wheel until you can see the fill bottle text in your top left corner. While you're at the water pump, make sure to press drink around 15 to 20 times until you get a hydrated status, but don't overdo it as you will get sick. Tip number 2. If you bleed for long enough, you will start to lose blood and your screen will begin to desaturate. You can either regain blood by blood bags or eating and drinking and waiting for your health to regenerate by itself, although it is slower this way, but you will notice your screen regaining color after a while. If you don't manage to bandage yourself in time, you will go unconscious, and if there is no player near you, you will die eventually. Tip number 3. People usually forget to loot car trunks. Make sure to check car trunks, especially the police ones. They usually contain some clothing, usually boots, and also ammunition for multiple rifles and pistols and food. Tip number 4. Eating cereal is one of the best ways to lose hunger, but be careful when eating it because it can dehydrate you, so make sure you have some water near you before eating it. Tip number 5. You can eat fruits, however it is one of the slowest ways of losing hunger as they contain the least calories. Before eating it, make sure to check if the fruit is rotten or not, because you should never eat rotten fruit and in most cases you will die from it. Bandits usually force feed rotten fruit to other players so that they can get sick and die from it eventually, from the sick status. Tip number 6. A flashlight is useful when it's dark on the server. In order to use it, you have to drag the battery onto the flashlight and attach it. Then put a flashlight into your hands and right click on the flashlight to turn it on. Tip number 7. With the new patch, it is harder to kill zombies and only headshots from melee weapons can kill them. However, they said it will be fixed soon as it is a bug apparently. If you encounter zombies, try to aim for the head with your weapon, but in most cases it is best that you run if you are not well geared. Tip number 8. You can knock out both players and zombies if you hit them with your fist straight to the head. However, if the player has a helmet, you won't be able to knock him out in one punch, and zombies fall from one straight hit to the head, but they do take multiple hits to the head in order to actually die. Tip number 9. Use your gun to shoot only if there is nothing else to do. Gunshots can't be heard from almost a kilometer range, so even if you don't attract other players, you will attract hordes of zombies coming to your location. Tip number 10. If you manage to find a burlap sack and some rope, you can combine it in order to make a 12-slot improvised courier bag. If you actually manage to find sticks as well, you can turn this courier bag into a backpack and increase the capacity from 12 to 20 slots. Tip number 11. Always look under beds as there is usually good loot hiding under there. Tip number 12. If you manage to find a medkit, make sure to pick it up. Right now it only contains 3 usable things that work though. 2 bandages, a blood bag and the IV starter kit that you can either attach to the saline bag or the blood bag for transfusions. Tip number 13. If you find one of these buildings, known as the military hospitals, make sure to loot them as they usually contain a lot of useful medical stuff that you will need in the future, such as the blood bags, saline bags, morphine, EpiPens, clothing and a few other things as well. Tip number 14. When you start out, make sure to pick up a motorcycle helmet as fast as you can, because a motorcycle helmet will protect you from one-hit knockouts and players are likely to attempt to do that near start zones. Tip number 15. You can open food cans with almost any sharp object, however the worst object to open cans with is the axe, because it can waste almost around 60% of the food. However, smaller objects, such as screwdrivers and knives, only waste to as much as 30% of the food. However, it is ideal to find a can opener, although they are usually hard to spot as they are kind of tiny, but they can open cans without wasting any of the food. Tip number 16. These houses are known as the piano houses, and whenever you run into them, make sure to check them out, because they usually contain a lot of decent ranged weapons, high-end melee weapons such as the fire axes, and good clothes, and in most of the times ammunition and water bottles or canteens. Tip number 17. These houses are known as the police stations, and whenever you run into them, make sure to check them out as well. They usually contain all ranged weapons from spotters to M4s and Mosins. They can also contain ammunitions and ballistic vests. However, be careful when entering them, as most players like to check them out as well. Tip number 18. If you manage to find a saline bag, make sure to pick it up. They are good in returning blood when it is an emergency. You can combine it with the IV starter kit in order to make it usable for a transfusion. However, you cannot use it on yourself, and you can only use it on other players, and other players can use it on you as well. Tip number 19. You can use spray cans to change the color of your rifles and fire axes. And you can also change the colors of the green, black and the UN ballistic helmet to whichever the color of the spray can is. And the last tip, tip number 20. You can carry two primary weapons at the same time, although you will run at a slower speed. In order to carry the second primary weapon, you have to put your current one on your back and then right click the second weapon in your vicinity and click put in your hands. Now you will be able to carry two primary weapons, but every time you use your hands, you will drop the one you have in your hands. Alright, that is all I have for now. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to give some feedback on this new series. I do want to make some advanced tips as well and some other DayZ videos. And again, thanks for watching, and don't forget to like, favorite and subscribe. See you next time.